In all retrospect, man, I do respect your dialogue tonight, but truly at the end of the day, it comes down to two choices,
Yours too.
man. Light or dark, good or evil, and it's not a hard choice. What is a hard choice is
No, it's
trying
not.
to navigate the waters in which people want to call God other names outside of the term God, which I know it's just a title, it's not an actual name, so you don't have to go there with me. But at the
Yeah, yeah.
same right,
No, I got you.
anything outside the title of God, you almost minimize him into that faith system in which you believe and hold faith, or sorry, you, and I don't mean you minimize him, but people will minimize the
Yeah,
character of God into their faith system in which they hold belief in. And honestly, thank you. Honestly, really, truly,
I
thanks for
agree with
having the
that.
dialogue tonight because it's
No, I
refreshing
appreciate it
because
too,
you
man.
didn't
Like
just go
even though
straight
we
into like,
disagree, like it
hey, you
was
know what?
actually
You're go ahead.
yeah. No,
Go
I was
ahead.
just saying I appreciate the conversation. I always like having good conversations, and you weren't disrespectful at all. Even though we got a little heated a few times, but it was
Yeah, but
all
that but
within
but
respect.
but
So
but
I
at the end of the
appreciate
day,
that.
man, like truly, like the debates between religious affiliated people, it's so nonsensical
Yeah,
because really when you break it down to the
yeah,
simplistic form in which it should really be, there is God, which God is
yeah.
known as the creator of all things. Then there is an opposite of him in
Right.
each religious belief system, or not necessarily an opposite of him, but there is an opposite of
I know what you
what
mean, though.
God represents. And at the end of the day, man, like
Right.
again, it's so simplistic, and I feel truly inside myself, I feel that like religion in itself just like completely like makes it so complex that it's hard to navigate when it's such an easy choice.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of what people
And
do when they
honestly, it really
find
is
that light that they
complex.
find, it
Yeah.
is that they really
Yeah.
negate shining that own light within themselves on their own darkness and healing that before they start trying to shine or light other people's candles or lights. And it's kind of
Right.
disheartening. So honestly, truly, from like the bottom of my heart and my soul, thank you for having the dialogue tonight because
Yeah.
you were very respectful.
Uh,
To a degree, we did get a
yeah.
little heated in certain moments, but that's just the way it goes. And I think and I think that
It
if
does,
we
unfortunately. I
like,
try to avoid it when I
I
can,
know,
but yeah.
I know, and
I mean,
and
it
and,
just
and
it's one
honestly,
of those
thank
things
you.
that's
Like
going to
we're
happen on occasion.
right because we are all
Yeah.
hold
No,
we're all
and I
held fast
appreciate
in our
you coming up
beliefs.
here. I Yeah, and
You
I
know what I mean?
appreciate you engaging with me and not being
Yeah,
rude and not being that kind of guy that's just going to jump to name
of course not.
calling and
No, of
yelling and
course not, because
cursing and
that's
all that.
not
So
that's
I
not how I
appreciate all of
want.
that.
You're
So
welcome, truly, because that's not how it really
yeah,
should. Like any of this dialogue between religious affiliated belief systems, this is the way that it should go. And I know
yeah,
that each individual,
absolutely.
belief system will have, those super, extremists or the, way right wing or way left wing
Yes.
or you know what I mean? And there's always going to be those
I Yeah, I get
outlying,
it.
extremists. And I think truly,
Yeah.
and you can disagree with me or not, but I think that if we could really get every leader of the religious affiliated doctrines together in this world and like, and it's gonna sound super
Yeah.
funny or super not, like get them all sit down. Let's sit in a fucking little. Sorry, I didn't mean to cuss. Sit in a little circle, sing
No, no worries.
kumbaya, smoke a little joint, and be like, all right, guys, look. I know that there is so much complexity to everybody's religious belief system, but if we can sit down and we can hash out, not to try to create one worldly religion, but the idea that each God that was within those religious belief systems, known as the creator, is very similar
Yeah.
to each and every other one. And again, I know that you're probably disagree with me on going a little bit beyond this, but beyond that, like really is like, what do you really need to understand what God to be? You know, it's creator of all things. It is an entity that is
Right.
bigger than us in a universal scale versus a, let's say, quantum scale without it being chaotic. And I don't know if you know quantum and universal physics or whatever. It doesn't matter at this point, but it's very, I don't know. It's just, I feel like it should be so simplistic at the end of the day, but because everybody is so like just hard on to what they believe that is just the truth and only the truth, and then outside of it, there's no other truth. I think that's where it kind of falters and falls to see each other at an evil, or not evil, sorry, an a level playing field. You know what I mean? Again, I don't
Yeah.
know if that made sense coming
Yeah.
out the way it did, but at the end of the day, it's light or dark. You know, God versus Satan, Brahman versus Shiva, you know,
Right.
Zeus versus Hades, you know, Yin versus Yang,
Right.
Odin versus I actually I don't even know the opposite of what Odin is in paganism or Norse Celticism.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Um, you know, and again, it goes across every ancient culture, every ancient people, and even into modern society.
Right.
And I feel
Yeah.
really that if we can have this kind of dialogue with each other, that maybe at some point in the future, maybe not in our lifetime, that we can all come to that kind of understanding that God is still God, no matter which religious belief system you want to believe in, because it means that He's the creator, or it's the creator. And that's kind of where I leave it, you know,
Yeah.
because again, like
And
what I
and
said earlier, you know, kind of
and
minimize
where I'm coming
minimize
from,
it into that
and this
space.
is just, yeah, yeah, and where
Go
I'm
ahead.
coming from, and
You
this
got
is
the
just
floor now.
me,
I think I'm
is
done.
if I'm gonna know, like I've always believed that there was a creator of some sort, right? I've always believed in
Exactly. Yeah.
God of some sort. Um,
Yeah.
but when I read the Bible, I read it from cover to cover, and I was looking for answers as I was reading it. I didn't read it as though I already believed it. I read it as though there are a lot of questions I have that I want answered, and if the Bible is true, it's going to give me those answers, right? And it did. It gave me those answers, and it gave me a much more beyond those answers. So when I got done reading the Bible, I couldn't see it as anything other than truth. And when I
Right.
saw that it was truth,
Because
that's what
that's what you
allowed me
found
to
within
actually
your faith.
have or develop a relationship with God, because I wanted to know who God was, who this creator is, and it gave me
Uh-huh.
the answers to that. So now that I know who he is, I give my life to him, and I do whatever it is that he asked me to do,
He
and
commands you to do.
that's my journey of it, you know.
Excellent, man. Like that, like amazing testimony. Like
Yeah,
truly.
yeah,
But
yeah. So
and I'm
and
not
I
butting
mean, I just
you.
and that's why I'm here. I'm here to share it with everybody I can, in hopes that maybe I can change some people's lives. And obviously I'm not going to change everybody's perspective, but that's not up to me. You know, that's up to God.
Right.
So,
Agreed.
but I'm here to just share the word of God, and if it touches somebody, it's a win. I don't care if I go through 1,000 people. If I find one person that I affect, hey, it's all worth it. You know what I mean?
I do. And this is why I honestly liked having dialogue with religious affiliated believers, because
Yeah.
in the faith system itself, like I know again you might disagree with me with this next statement, but there's no true way to either prove or disprove your belief, or sorry, not your belief, but your faith in the beliefs that you hold, right? So when it comes to other
Right.
faith
I
believing
agree.
people, but go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I agree that there is no way to prove, 100% prove anything, which is why I base my life off of evidence, not proof. And the evidence to me proves that, or the evidence points to the Bible being true, which is why I stick to it. So, and it goes for everything, like you
Okay,
don't
okay.
trust something just because, you're told to. And there's no proof that anything is going to be 100% proof, good
I
or
mean,
right or
proof
accurate or
would be the
whatever. But
evidence in which
the
it
evidence
proves,
will
right?
teach you whether it's reliable or not.
Okay, so could you agree, and again, you may not, and that's okay, but could you agree that
Yeah.
another person of another faith may have that same kind of ideological system in which they found within their faith of the beliefs in a different religious belief system?
Um, I would say yes. But
Okay,
the
excellent.
problem that I have seen personally,
Uh huh.
the problem that I have seen is that the way that they are taught in most religions, is that they're not exposed to outside information. So the only information that they
Agreed.
really have to go on is what they're taught within their organization or within their religion, right? They're not
Agreed.
taught to go outside of that. And that's the
Right.
difference between Christianity and the Bible and every other religious group out there
Okay.
is I do go outside of the Bible. I go outside of the Bible a lot. And I look into Islam. I look into Jehovah Witness. I look into Mormons. I look into atheism. I look into Catholicism. I look into all of these. And it's still very consistent that the truth that I see within the Bible holds true, while there is still inconsistencies in all the other religions that I have seen.
And that's what you found within the way that you believe in the faith that you found within Christianity, right? Because
Well,
the
it's
way
it's
the way
no,
that
it's
you've
not just that.
experienced
It's
Christianity is that it's the truth for you, right?
well, it is, but it's based off of the evidence. Like I don't see any contradictions. I don't see any direction in any other way, right? So if you go to say, oh, let's go. Okay, I think we talked about this earlier, but if you go to Muslims, right? So the Quran actually confirms the Torah and the Injil, the Psalms, all that. It confirms the Bible I
It's the Bible, right?
read, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it confirms the Bible I read, and their only excuse is, oh, well, no, it's been corrupted. But they can't prove it's been corrupted. That's just what they've been taught within their religion, right? So there's an inconsistency there, because if Allah confirmed corrupted scriptures, then he would not be all knowing, or he would be deceiving. Either way, it would be Islam would be wrong. But if he confirmed good scriptures and they claim that it's been corrupted since then, well, we can prove with the manuscripts that we have that predate Muhammad that the scriptures are not corrupted. So either way, the evidence points to that, to Islam being wrong. And that's what I'm talking about. Like you do your deep dive into each of these and you'll find inconsistencies like that. I have not found that within the Bible I read.
I get that, and I understand that. I see what I see your side of it,
Yeah.
but at the same time,
Yeah.
almost all man-made written manuscripts could be fallible, correct? In one way
It's
or another.
possible, yeah.
All right. Okay. Thank you for that
It's
agreement.
possible. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, of
Um,
course.
and
I'd be
um,
ignorant if I didn't say
shit, I had a
that.
man. I had a good question and I completely forgot it. Um, what was it? Give me a second, and I might. I should be able to remember it. But
Yeah, no worries. I am gonna wrap this up here in the next like 5 or 10 minutes, so just
No,
so
that's
you know.
totally cool because I'm on my way to going to bed too. But like really, like truly, thanks for the dialogue,
Yeah.
bro.
Okay.
Because like not a lot of people would actually
No.
interact
Yeah.
or entertain the line of questioning that I normally do because they're like, "Oh, you're just not a non-believer." And
Yeah.
I'm like, "No, it's not that I'm a non-believer. It's just that what I believe isn't necessarily parallel to what you do beyond a certain point."
Right.
And that's okay. But then,
Right.
like, it always comes to,
Yeah.
well, what is your version of God? And I'm like, well, there's only one version of God throughout every consistent religious belief, and it is that there's an entity known as a God or God that in that religious affiliated belief that is a creator. And it's super funny because whenever I do tell people that I believe in God, 90% of the time it's
Yeah.
always Christian people. And
Yeah.
again, nothing against you because I would say that you're
Yeah.
an outlier of this type of believing faith or faith believing people is that they go, well, which God? And I go,
Okay.
see, that's the problem because when you say which God, you're almost you're like you're already starting to in essence in my brain the way I say it is well see right there you're already starting to fuck it up because you want me to almost name God something else outside of God and I just won't do it and that's okay
I
I think
got
in
you.
my purview and I respect like truly man I'm gonna give you a follow and I'm gonna follow you man because with what we've discussed tonight like
I
truly
appreciate
like
that.
you've earned my respect and I hope that I've done the same in being able
You have actually.
to reciprocate the patience that it takes to actually have this kind of dialogue with somebody that is an outside liar of your faith system. And I truly don't try to provoke people in the essence in
Yeah.
sometimes the way that it happens because hang on, I'm trying my train of thought kind of lost there for a second. But like I don't try to like
No worries.
provoke people into like, oh, well, you're, this, that, and the other. I'm just like, no, I'm honestly curious in where you
Right.
lie within your belief system because I want to expand my own perspective of how other people see their own belief system. And then I'm able to then broaden my perspective and how I understand other people to believe. Did that make sense or was it just kind of mumbled jumble?
Okay. No. Yeah. That it does. It makes a lot of sense.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. No problem, man. And like I said before, like I really do appreciate you continuing this conversation and not being disrespectful like a lot of people are. I think there's too much of that in this world. So I'm trying
I
to
don't disagree, and I believe that it
create something.
creates something new in a
Yeah, I'm
space
I'm just
that's
saying
not
I
really truly
I
been done. You know what I mean?
exactly. I am trying to because I and don't get me wrong, like I watch God Logic, I watch IP, I watch a bunch of these guys, right?
Yeah.
And their videos are very entertaining. I
Uh-huh.
like watching them.
Yeah.
I just think that there is a better approach to certain people, and you can do it with kindness. You can do it with respect. You don't have to agree with each other, but as long as you
Uh-huh.
keep that open dialogue and people
Yeah.
actually
Agreed.
catch on to that, I think
Agreed.
that's where the change should be. So I'm trying to
Good for
promote
you,
that
man.
as much
Because
as I can on my channel at least,
yeah,
and hopefully it'll go somewhere. You know what I mean?
and that's why I do what I do. Because I don't post on my own TikTok. I have a few haircut videos because I'm a
Yeah.
barber. And I know that there are
Oh, there you
people
go.
within my life that are probably watching this live now. And they're, like I know my aunt and uncle
Yeah.
probably watch it. My daughters catch me on it every now and again. And it's not to ever really
Yeah.
truly debate, people within religion. It's to broaden my own
Right.
like I said, broaden my own perspective so that I can get a better understanding of how and why, you believe in the certain ways that you do. And truly, most people,
Right.
to a degree, don't have that same kind of respect in that kind of um, pathway of trying to understand other people. They just want to go, this is what I believe,
Yes.
and if you don't believe it, well then, you're demonic. Like, dude, okay, example.
Yeah.
There's one guy that I've followed for, or I don't follow him, but like I've trolled this dude for probably 5 years. And I don't mean like troll him like blah blah
Okay.
blah blah blah. You know what I mean? But he's a guy that is on TikTok
Right.
probably every other day or every day holding up a sign that says, prove to me God doesn't exist. And he just sits there and,
Okay.
utters the same kind of thing over and over. And finally one day he
Yeah.
brought me up in his live. And I tried to ask some
Okay.
questions, and he just, nope, that's not what I'm trying to do here. I want you to say yes or no to my questions. And if you try to talk, I'm kicking you
Yeah.
off, and da 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 da. And so finally, it
Right.
got to a point where he goes, you have a demon around you. You can't even say the name of Jesus without shuddering because demons can't say the name of Jesus. And I'm like sitting there on his live, just like we are. And he's going, say the name of Jesus, or, you're a
Yeah.
demon. And I go, Jesus. And like,
Uh-oh.
anyways, it's very hypocritical in some of these aspects, of like people like that. And it's super funny because in the actual end of like all of it, like coming to somebody like yourself and actually having the dialogue that we've had for the
Yeah.
probably last hour, maybe. I don't know how long it's been, honestly,
Yeah.
but
Something like that. Yeah.
you've been very respectful to a degree. You kind of negated some of the things that I did ask you, and that's okay because that's just kind of the human logic behind what we were doing in the dialogue and the kind of the debating back and forth. And anyways,
Right.
but in essence, at the very end of the day, it's just to broaden my own perspective and how I feel like I want to try and
Yeah.
understand how other people feel and see and what they believe and why they believe it and how deeply they believe it. And if they, like if they do believe it so deeply, then my secondary question becomes then, okay, then have you ever, studied any of the other religious belief systems? And if you have or have not,
Right.
more of like the have you not or have not. If you have not, then how can you ever come to somebody else that has a differing faith system than you to even have a dialogue to try to, let's say, and I don't mean convert, like, you trying to convert me to Christianity, because it'll never happen, but that's
Right.
okay. And I don't mean that negatively,
Yeah.
but that, like, you know what I mean? Like to see them from their
No, I got you.
perspective. Like, again, I'm a barber, man. I've talked to
Yeah.
every type of walk of life. And honestly, some of the
I can
best
imagine.
conversations that I've ever had behind the chair were with your faith believing Christian pastors, and they've left me so
Okay.
humbled
All
when
right.
they get out of my chair. And it's not even in a way of like, that they try and sit there and convert me. It's just that like they see
Right.
where I'm coming from and they hear me out, and then they give me their perspective and their feedback in that situation. So then I'm able to tailor and maybe
Right.
not manipulate, but change my ideation and how I see things to be in this, three-dimensional world that we only see 0.05% of its light spectrum. Anyways, I will let you
Right.
go, man. I know you're trying to wrap this up, and I'm not trying to like da 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 da. But thanks,
No,
bro.
you're
And what's
good.
your name,
You're
man?
good.
Like
You're good.
honestly,
My name is Bert.
Bert. Nice, man.
Like Bert and
I
Ernie.
my name is Nick. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep.
My name is Nick, bro. Um, in actual
Nice
fullness,
to
it's
meet you, Nick.
Nicholas. It's nice to meet you, bro. And honestly, I gave you a follow. But I hope in some
I
other,
followed you back.
you know, timeline, not even timeline, but different time,
Yeah.
that maybe I can come back with
Yeah.
you with a few more questions and see how you answer them.
Absolutely, man.
And,
Eh,
because like, again, I love
yeah.
having this
Anytime I'm
dialogue.
up here, I mean, okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely. And there are times, like a lot of the times, I just have a panel for like other Christians to come up and
Yeah.
discuss different things or whatever. I
Yeah.
usually get people that are in opposition on those too.
Yeah.
That's fine. I don't mind it.
Cool.
Like I always make it very clear, like as long as you're respectful and not
That's the
looking
key,
to
man.
argue, like you're welcome up, you know?
That's the key, man.
So,
That right there is the
um,
key.
Yeah,
I believe.
yeah.
Because if you
So,
can be
and,
respectful and you
and
can see
actually,
else's perspective, then you're more than welcome to come have a dialogue or
yeah,
a conversation within the debate that's being held.
absolutely. Absolutely,
All
man.
right, bro.
So yeah, you're welcome to come up anytime, man. Like I really enjoyed the conversation that we had tonight. So
And again,
I do appreciate everything.
yeah,
And
absolutely, bro. Like, thank you as well. Like, I know that
yeah,
we're leaving this still not agreeing, but I think that's the best part of being a human being is we
and that's
shouldn't
okay
ever agree
though.
with everybody with everything
Not
that they think. You know what I mean?
right.
'Cause then it would
And
make us
it's
too
okay to disagree.
simplistic.
You know, like not
Yeah,
everybody is always going to agree on everything, but it
right.
doesn't mean you can't be respectful. It doesn't mean you can't be
Can't be friends.
kind to each
Yeah,
other, and
yeah.
that's it. It leaves it open for a more for another conversation, like the fact that you want to come back on later, and
Hell
that's
yeah,
the whole
man.
point is to
And I,
continue
sorry,
to
no,
have
no,
these
yeah, okay.
conversations.
Yeah, no, I completely
So
agree. And
yeah,
this shit
so
is fairy tales. You're all dumb. You know what? Depressed rainbow music. Why don't you go make some music that's depressing for rainbows? Because rainbows aren't depressing, and that's a conundrum within itself, homie. Because if you really
he's
think
just
about your
jealous because he
name,
can't have a respectful conversation, bro.
no, yeah, 100%. Because if you really think about your name, bro, you're saying depressed rainbows. I'm sure after a rainstorm, God,
I would be
like
depressed
puts a
too.
rainbow, and that shouldn't depress you because it's over. But if you're trying to make music to be depressed by, man, make some rainbow music if you want to.
There
Anyways,
you go.
Bert, man,
There
great
you
talking with
go.
you. I'll let you go, man. I will see you, I'm sure,
All
on the
right, man.
live somewhere, and I may
Absolutely.
not pop up at certain times, or I may just pop up and be like, "Hey,
That's
bro,
fine.
you know,
Yeah.
hey, Jesus is still not God, bro." I'm just again, just making fun, bro. Just making fun, okay? Because in the end, again, like
No, no
I don't
worries,
think any
brother.
of us are ever gonna really truly agree in our faith systems. And again, I think that's what makes us
Yeah.
human because we are able to disagree and still have a relation or build a foundation of a friendship without having to agree with each other in
Absolutely.
every aspect of life. Because that
Absolutely.
makes us too
100% agree with
robotic
you, brother.
and like each other, and that in itself in this realm of existence doesn't really make anything good. Anyways, good night,
Right.
bub.
And I agree
Appreciate you.
100%. So,
Have a great day
all
tomorrow and
right,
have a
man.
great
Appreciate
Memorial Day,
you.
man. Later, bub.
All right. You too, man. You stay safe out there.